All right, all right, all right. I am Mr. J. It's a great day today. First day of spring, actually. I always like to start my classes with a corny dad joke, and today's is this. I had an accident while playing peekaboo. Now I'm in the hospital. They put me in ICU. Ba-dum-bum. All right. Two deep healing breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, preferably with your eyes closed, but any way you feel safe is great. So you're breathing in those delicious warm cookies. But they're too hot to eat, so you cool them down. Maybe you're breathing in pizza, just came out of the oven, but it's a little hot, so you're cooling it down. Alrighty, alrighty. All right. This class today is a very, very, very broad, general overview of ways to ask questions. So we won't get into necessarily anything deep on any particular topic. It's just a very broad overview of how to ask different questions to get better answers or better responses. Some of you listening, watching may be relentless question askers. Your gnawing curiosity causes you to constantly seek information while talking to people. Not to mention, there are many different motivations behind the questions that we ask. Uh, a lot of times, the questions that we ask aren't even the necessarily what we want answered, um, which is a whole nother topic. When we ask questions with genuine goodwill, we can increase trust and strengthen the relationship. We have to be very careful of our saboteurs. What are our saboteurs? Are we people pleasers? Are we avoiders? Are we controllers? Are we, those are the saboteurs. To get to know a person's background, the better you know your conversation partner, the better, and the more effective your communications will be because you can tailor your messaging to what matters to them. Plus, people are fascinating and we have much to learn from each other. So, what's your story? How did you learn to? What was your upbringing like? What's been your favorite role or job? What are you currently working on? So many times, especially at a social event, one of the first things we want to find out from somebody is what do you do? Or what did you do? Or what's your job? Whatever. When I heard a saying before, and I actually like it. It's don't focus so much on being interesting, focus on being interested. Because when people feel that you're interested in them, that's when they feel that connection, that trust, and they want to open up to you more. To understand feelings, we aren't always rational or logical. Many of our decisions and reactions are emotionally driven. Asking thoughtful questions can help us understand what's driving a person's actions. So when you speak to somebody, when you're done talking to them, you can ask them questions too. How did that affect you? Or how do you respond to that? A lot of times we're saying something and we want a response. Somebody, for whatever reason, they choose silence. You can ask them, how do you respond to that? I imagine you must have felt blank. Is that right? This is an engaging conversation. And what drove you to that decision? So, do you see how that is being interested more so than being interesting? To learn context, things often make more sense when we understand the bigger picture and gain a wider perspective. So, getting more details from a place of curiosity, not judgment. And we all have judgment. We all have judgment. All of us have an inner judge where we judge our own selves, our own thoughts, our own behaviors, our own actions, our own reactions, and we judge that of others. So, we need to really be mindful and get our own judge in check. Um, when we do, we can ask better questions, such as, when did this start happening? Those are great liners. Who else was involved? Where else is this happening? Again, the focus should be on being interested, not necessarily interesting. One of the things that I often tell people too is instead of asking yourself, what do I want to come out of this conversation or what is my goal? The why behind it. Why is it important? So, for instance, instead of asking yourself, this could be anything. Let's just say you're at a social event and you want to say, you know what? I want to get out of this conversation a deeper knowledge of my neighbor. So I'm at a social event at my neighbor's house. I want to get a deeper understanding of my neighbor. That's your what. Well, that's fine, great, and dandy, but how about the why? Why is that important to you? And once you start writing down the why, that's going to be your motivation for for your what. And this goes with your relationship with your kids, your significant other, what have you. If you focus on the why is that important to you? That'll give you much more meaning, depth, and motivation. To collect ideas, other people's minds are a treasure trove of creative insights, but they may need some prompting to share them. So brainstorming and problem solving are most likely to be fruitful if we are humble and confident enough to crowdsource by directly asking for input. So some of the ways we can directly ask for input is what other ways can you think of A, B, and C? Again, you're being more interested than interesting. You're invited to conversation. I always say also be very careful with the use I, because I is an invitation, you is an accusation. This is more so in your more intimate relationships. You know, if we have a disagreement, instead of, you know, you never put your dish in the sink, you as an accusation, maybe I would really appreciate it if you put your dish in the sink. Now you're inviting them to do something. So, you know, using I statements always works out better. To customize approach, sometimes you sense something that's not clicking with someone. You know you need to fix it. Maybe you're not getting the response in a timely manner or at all. Maybe there's some resistance or animosity on some level. If that's the case, take a deep breath. Avoid the temptation to be passive aggressive, which a lot of us are, and that comes easy for much of us, and kindly ask for feedback. So again, this is if you are sensing some resistance with someone, and this could be if you are trying to rebuild after broken trust in your relationship. If you're sensing some resistance with somebody, keep in mind, resistance doesn't necessarily mean disinterested. It could mean that they're a natural avoider or they're conflict avoidant. So it's not that they don't love you or they're not interested in you or they don't prioritize you. It's their natural tendency is I'm an avoider, but that's another class. So maybe you can ask them a question such as, you know, what is your preferred way of? Or what is your favorite way of? Um, what motivates you to blank the most? You know, what barriers do you have? A, B, and C. One of the things that I tell actually my even my kids and my spouse, and I think this has something to do with ADHD, but when you ask me a question or when you make a request, please start the statement with when you get a chance. Because I have ADHD, so I already have 600 TVs going in my mind that are on and their volumes are up at all times. So I already feel from the moment I wake up in the morning, and I'm not on any medication for it. I mean, I'm 50 and I've been dealing with this, so I'm not going to get on any medication for ADHD. Plus, on top of that, I think ADHD in a lot of ways does serve people. They get very creative. They can multitask, even though that's not necessarily a thing, but whatever. They can multitask a little bit better. But anyway, because I already feel as if I'm constantly involved in so much all the time, I don't want one more task put on me. So when my family asks me to do something, and it could be my kids saying, you know, hey, Papa, when you get a chance, can you give me some orange juice? I feel empowered that when I'm ready, when it's in my power, when it's my choice, when I'm in a position where it works best for me, I will get you orange juice. 9 times out of 10, I respond immediately. But if somebody just asks me, can you do something? Now you've just turned on another TV and you've added it to the 600 that are in my TV. So this is what I mean when you have to get to know the person you're talking to, find out what is the best way they like to correspond, they like to communicate, what is the best way they're most receptive to what you want to say, because the goal is optimally both people hear one another. But a lot of times, you know, we talk to people the way that we want to be talked to, and that's not an area where you treat others the way you want to be treated. So to clarify goals, do you ever feel like you're in a group project with no clear direction? For many of you, do you ever feel like you're in a relationship or a marriage with no clear direction? When a project or communication in a marriage lacks clarity, a lot of time and energy is wasted being confused and frustrated. So try being proactive and ask for the instructions needed to move forward. So listen, even if you're going to a group project at work, or you're ready to do a check-in after infidelity, one of the things you might want to say beforehand is, what is the main purpose we're trying to achieve here? So, okay, you're in a meeting with work and you're working on a project. What is the ideal results we want out of this meeting? Same thing if you're talking about rebuilding trust after broken trust in a relationship. Let's do a check-in. What are we looking to accomplish? What's the outcome? What's the desired result we want from this check-in? Is that to connect? Is that to understand? All the above, what have you? Um, what does a successful outcome look like to you? Does a successful interaction look like, again, from a business standpoint, what we have blueprints of a model that we want to construct? Or in a marriage, is it, as long as I feel heard and we hug afterwards, that would be an ideal takeaway. All right, it's not just the way we say things, but it's how we say things, which I say all the time. Tone, delivery, not interrupting, um, uh, um, yeah, all those things. Acknowledging, validating, that goes a long way. I will, and listen, oftentimes, even if um, you're getting frustrated, I always say, put a smile on your face. A smile actually tricks your brain into thinking all is good in the hood. And sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. Sometimes we're in some conversations that are awfully frustrating. But if we start to get dysregulated, then we respond in that way, and then the conversation just goes sour. So sometimes you have to sit there and just, man, if you had a baseball bat, you'd love to swing it, but you're just going to sit here and smile and tell your brain all is good in the hood. That way you can have a decent conversation. When we ask questions with ill will or passive aggression, a negative tone, or even when we ask questions as a gotcha, what we're doing is antagonizing and building bridges, as people will just shut down and tune us out. Now, that might make you feel good in the moment, but it's not giving you the desired outcome, because the desired outcome is connection, understanding, building trust, whatever that is. So make sure when you're asking a question, it's not, you're not asking it because you want a gotcha necessarily. No, don't get me wrong. There are those times where those are needed, but that shouldn't be your normal go-to. That said, everyone can benefit from feedback and correction, but their level of receptiveness largely depends on the delivery of the messenger. So offer your point of view for consideration without accusing them of error. You can even ask them, may I offer, some feedback? May I offer some alternatives? Are you open to hear my thoughts? Are you good to hear my response? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes. But again, once the fact that they're saying yes, they're inviting you to give feedback, they're going to be much more open to it. So it benefits you regardless. Once we ask questions, it's crucial to genuinely listen and appropriately respond for true communication to happen. Although listening is an invisible internal process, there are many outward expressions. We can signal our attentiveness or our audience by practicing the classic indicators of listening, with these simple things. And I know a lot of these are going to be common sense, but I think with this day and age, especially with how much we're on technology rather than in person, we lose a lot of this. So maybe this is more for the younger generation, but steady, soft eye contact. Really steady, soft eye contact. Let me repeat. Now, this may be rude in other cultures, just be mindful of that. But here in the Western culture, for the most part, steady eye contact. Nonverbal acts like nodding your head and your facial expressions, which is another reason why I say non verbal communication can be strong. Because if you're trying to talk to somebody and they're sitting here going like this, I mean, you're getting dysregulated while you're talking. So be very careful of those nonverbal acts. Periodically summarizing what the other person's saying, say, okay, I understand what you're saying. So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is you'd like me to put my dish in the sink, in a decent amount of time after I'm done eating. Okay, is that correct? I mean, just summarizing what the other person's saying. See if you're on the same page. Ask clarifying questions, whatever that is. Are you saying that, you would like me to clock in a minute before my lunch is over, or as long as it's not a minute over? I mean, ask those clarifying questions. That's fine. And one of my favorites, and I love this, and you can use it. I don't care who you're talking to, why, what, where. This is a go-to that's applicable in the majority of situations. Is simply tell me more. This could, when we're talking to our kids, our spouse, a coworker, you name it. Interesting. Wow, tell me more. That shows that you're interested, that shows you're engaged. That's a quote that is the golden lottery ticket. Questions have the power to carry the conversation to higher levels of inspiration and enlightenment, as well as deeper levels of understanding and relating with each other. So use your questions for good. Always try to use your questions for good. Now, obviously, there's some of you that are watching that you're frustrated. I get it. And sometimes the only way to get an answer is through angst or the gotcha moments or whatever. But if there's true connection going on, make sure there's no ill will, there's no passive aggressive, there's just you're using your questions for good. You're being curious, because keep in mind, we all have an internal judge. We all like to judge ourselves and others. So always be curious, always listen, validate, acknowledge, maybe even summarize, repeat what was said before you give your input. So basically, I'll leave you asking, I'm going to leave you with asking yourself this. What will I do today or this week or this weekend? What will I do in my life that will improve the way I question people, the way I communicate, the way I talk? How will I change to improve the relationships around me?